Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind, Season 4. Let's watch.
I definitely want a wedding, you know, like I want to wear the big fancy dress and I want to walk down the aisle again and again. Oh, God. I didn't mean to say it like that, but I want to walk down the aisle.
Okay, so we hear Amber and Paul are talking. Looks like they had a Mardi Gras theme. I wonder if this was filmed last year around Mardi Gras times, 2022 last year. And Amber is now talking about having been married before, and so let's see how this goes.
God. I didn't mean to say it like that, but I want to walk down the aisle. I married this fool.
Right.
You know, and he got with somebody shortly after. And I just remember that rage. Like, literally, I was just so mad. Like, your head just spins around backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. So it sounds like shortly after getting married, she was cheated on. It was very distressing to her, as it is usually for people. So I'm sorry she went through that.
It just took a lot of time to heal. But I don't want to be jaded. I want the love that I deserve, and I hope that I, can find that.
Have you ever cheated on a spouse, or would you?
I'd like to think that I wouldn't, but I think that it would have led down to that road just because I wasn't happy.
Yeah, so she's saying, no, I didn't cheat, but it could have resulted in that if I stayed in the relationship because of how unhappy I was. And yeah, it doesn't make it right. It explains it to some extent, but people will cheat for a variety of reasons. It's almost always justified by something along these lines of, well, they don't treat me well. Now, if you're so I talk a lot about infidelity and a lot about infidelity itself, but also just the general deception that is allowed for in our society. I don't know this, but it seems like there's more and more lying and more normalizing of lying. People will lie with filters on Instagram. People will lie with the way they portray their life on Instagram. People will lie on their resume. People will, we have politicians that just lie. And that's always been the case, but it seems more normalized to me now. You have people that lie to each other. You have people that lie at work. Like when a friend invites you to a party and you don't feel like going, so you lie and you say that you're sick, that kind of thing. Instead of just telling your friend, hey, I just don't feel like it. Thanks for inviting me. I like you as a friend, but I just don't have the energy to go to that party tonight. I'm really sorry. I know that that'll disappoint you, but I just can't get the energy up for it or whatever. Why can't you say that? But my experience, most people will say they're sick or they had something come up or something. And I just, case by case basis, but I just think that it is a bad thing and it creates distrust where you don't necessarily even trust your partner because lying has just become so commonplace. It's destructive. Like with my wife, she's been very truthful with me. I can't know if she's not lying to me, but I can know that the track record is that at least I can't think of a time that she's ever lied to me, honestly. So it's something that you build. It's trust. And so when I want to depend on her, when she tells me something, I have a prediction that it's truthful, that it's, at least to the best of her knowledge, that it's correct, that she's speaking the truth and she's not leaving anything out. So that basis, that trust is incredibly beneficial, not only to my attachment security, but to our relationship. Anyway, point is that we're hearing from Amber that she was cheated on, and what she's saying is that she was heading in a direction of potentially cheating because she's like, well, the relationship wasn't going well, so it could have resulted in that. And I don't know what she's saying. I would ask her more about that. I'd be like, so are you saying that cheating is like an option when your relationship isn't going well? Or what are you saying? Now, I think what she would say is, well, no, I mean, that's why I broke up, because I just knew that I didn't like the relationship I was in. And if I forced myself or someone forced me to be in it, I would imagine I would be looking for someone to love me. And I would imagine that might happen. I don't know if that's what she's saying. So let's see what happens here.
Cheated on a spouse, or would you?
I'd like to think that I wouldn't, but I think that it would have led down to that road just because I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I think there's always an underlying issue. It doesn't make it okay, but there's always a reason.
So she says there's always a reason. And again, I would ask more questions if I were talking to her, but it is a bit of a myth, and there is sometimes a gendered aspect to this, that people, and this is just anecdotal, I don't even know if there is any research on this, that anecdotally, when you hear about a man cheating, the bias is, oh, he's a dog, he's a player, he's a malignant narcissist or something like that. And it could be, but that's just one of the many reasons or conceptualizations as to why the infidelity happened. Whereas when women are heard about cheating, hear about, she cheated often, and again, anecdotal. And I'm a man, so maybe I'm biased when I hear this stuff, but I often will hear the attribution, the cause for that will say like, oh, well, he must not have been treating her very well, which also could have been the reason or a reason. But this bias of like women cheat because their man isn't treating them right, and men cheat because they're dogs and animals. And that is just a way oversimplification. Might there be some level of difference there in terms of the various different factors? Maybe, but it's hard to measure, and certainly not anecdotally in my experience. The reasons why people cheat spans gender, all the genders. It doesn't matter what gender you are in terms of determining why you cheat. There's various different reasons why people cheat. In fact, there's been research on this as to why, you'll ask people why you did it. There's also been a lot of conceptualizations around attachment style and different types of cheaters, this kind of thing. You can listen to my attachment deep dive. You have to be a patron, but I do a whole section on infidelity and the different typologies of preoccupied individuals will cheat in a certain way and avoidant people will cheat in a certain way. So I don't know what she means when she says that. It's like, there's always a reason, and it depends. But in my experience, and I do have a bit of a morality around this, because my morals are structured around harm. When you purposefully, willingly, willfully take actions that have a high likelihood of harming another human being, and there isn't a justifiable reason to take that risk, then in my book, you are committing an immoral act. If you push someone's wheelchair down the stairs, for example, like that one D-bag, that is immoral because you didn't need to do it, obviously, and pushing someone's wheelchair down the stairs is tremendously harmful to a human being. So my point is that that's immoral. That's wrong. So when you set out to cheat, even if you're in a really bad marriage, then two wrongs don't make a right. That's what they taught me in kindergarten. That's what my mom taught me. That's what my dad taught me. Now, I do hold out for situations, which I've heard about and treated, where someone is being abused and they're being gaslit and they're being controlled, they're stuck and trapped and they're traumatized and they don't know how to get out. They're terrified of leaving their partner, and they find someone that they can relate to, someone that will love them, someone that will not hurt them, and they cheat. They cheat on their abusive partner. In that situation, it's not in that category of immorality. It's an act of desperation. The individual would leave the relationship if they were safe to do so. So I don't know what she's saying there. So, there's always reasons. And yeah, there are always reasons. If you ask people, why did you cheat? There will always be reasons that they will state, but it doesn't justify it in most circumstances. It's not okay. And there are so many other options. You can break up and then cheat. You can not cheat. There's just so many other, you can go to therapy and say like, and people have come to me. The sole reason why they came to me was because they were finding themselves flirting with a lot of people online, having a lot of impulse to cheat on their partner, and they don't know why. There are usually psychological reasons.
I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I think there's always an underlying issue. It doesn't make it okay, but there's always a reason.
Kind of a red flag.
What, you think that's a red flag with me?
Interesting. So I don't know. Let's see where this goes, but he might be thinking something similar to me. It's just like, so are you saying that when push comes to shove and the relationship isn't going well, that infidelity is just something that's a bit of an option to you? Now, I don't think, see, I'm looking at my notes. I don't think we've heard from any of Paul's relational traumas, so maybe this has something to do with it. But even if it doesn't, let's see where this goes.
Or would you?
I'd like to think that I wouldn't, but I think that it would have led down to that road just because I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I think there's always an underlying issue. It doesn't make it okay, but there's always a reason.
kind of a red flag.
Well, you think that's a red flag with me?
Now, the other thing that I will put out there in defense of Amber, there's a tendency for younger people, and I don't want to discriminate against younger people, but I'll just say that a tendency for older people to have greater understanding and flexibility regarding infidelity. Not that it's okay. For example, when I have couples that come to see me and infidelity is an issue, for older couples, it's difficult and it's hurtful and it is devastating. And there's an appreciation for the ups and downs of life, the ups and downs of a relationship, the reality of being in love. Another way of look at it is that when we're young and we're being indoctrinated into the depictions of relationships, rom-coms, this kind of thing, not a lot of depictions about what relationships really look like, the ups and downs, right? How you can be in a wonderful 50-year-long relationship, but have 10 years where it was pretty bad. That's not what the rom-coms talk about. The rom-coms rarely even go past the first day of a relationship. You know, it's like you have the meet cute, you have the rise, you have the falling out, and then by the end of the movie, you have the big moment with the rose, and then you ride off in the sunset, and they don't follow that couple beyond. Also, cheating is a lot more common than I think people realize. It's hard to lock down where do you draw the line, what is cheating, what is infidelity, what question do you ask. But a sizable percentage of relationships, even good relationships, have had moments of infidelity in its history. It's not good, it's not okay, in the same way that calling your partner a name, saying that you're an asshole or something, or yelling at someone, that's not good, but it happens. We want to curtail that. We want to work on it. We don't want to go down a road of infidelity. We don't want to go down a road of destructive conflict, but it happens. And it's something to work on.
That was in the past. Like, if you're asking me now, like, hell no. Before it got to that point, like, I would end it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
think
mean?
That's
Like,
the right thing to do.
I mean, and that was a hypothetical, like, it didn't happen. But no, I would never cheat on you. Because that is not who I am.
I'll believe you.
Okay, so he's skeptical, I guess, and taking notes. And she's trying to, it's hard to know. There's a lot of possibilities, and I've yammered long enough, but there's a lot of potential for misunderstanding. There's also, so he could be right that it is a red flag, but he hasn't asked enough questions. If I were a little birdie on his shoulder, I would say, ask her more questions about this. It's concerning to you, and that's okay. It's normal. It's probably a good thing. But ask her more. What does she mean by there are always reasons? What does she mean? Like, one scenario that comes to mind is he could present to her a scenario. It's like, okay, well, let's say you have a friend, and whenever you see her, she's always complaining about her boyfriend or husband, and there's nothing abusive happening, but there's just a lot of conflict, and you don't really know what's happening because you're not there, but she's your friend and you care about her. And then one day she comes to you and she says that she's been cheating on her husband. How do you receive that or something, and just kind of get a conversation going? Because if Amber were to say like, well, yeah, I would understand that because the relationship isn't very good, and what else are you going to do? And I don't know if Amber would say it. I don't think she would, but it's possible she would. Then that would be kind of a red flag. Now, it doesn't mean it's not changeable, but it is a bit of a red flag. Whereas if Amber had said something like, well, I would understand why the cheating happened, but I would probably try to encourage my friend to figure out a different future, because cheating isn't the answer. Either go to couple therapy, work on the relationship with your husband, or move towards divorce.
I feel weird. I feel like really anxious right now. I don't know why.
Do you? I'm sorry.
You should be sorry.
I really don't want to make you anxious.
Okay, so at first, that was good. She's like just saying she's anxious. She could have been anxious and then defensive, but she just says it like it is, just like, hey, I'm just anxious. I'm feeling a vibe from you that you're upset at me, or that you're distancing yourself from me, or she could have elaborated on that. And then he, I think, I don't know, it's hard to know what's going on in his mind. He could have some concerns and is now reevaluating, or maybe he's just done with her or something. I don't know. Let's watch.
Because that is not who I am.
I'll believe you.
I feel weird. I feel like really anxious right now. I don't know why.
Do you? I'm sorry.
You should be sorry.
I really don't want to make you anxious. You're a sweet something.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Except for when I'm not, which is sometimes like right now.
One of the risks of this sort of thing happening in the pods is that you're not together to hold hands and to hug and to kiss and to make up in that physical way. It is a powerful alleviator of tension if you can manage it and are willing and want to have that kind of affection. It instantly changes things. You can have tremendous anger and resentment and contempt for your partner, and if you have a mutually consensual moment of eye contact and holding hands and hugging, it can completely flip that around, for better, for worse, but often for the better. The perspective changes, the mood, because it's very regulating. We need physical affection on an hourly basis. We evolved, in all likelihood, under those circumstances. It reassures us, regardless of how old we are. We need it a lot when we're very young, and decreasingly so throughout the lifespan, but we have a significant amount of need for that at any age. And when we get it, our body relaxes, blood pressure goes down, our certain neurochemicals are regulated that are more relaxing and less distressing. We feel connected. And in the pods, they can't do that. They're just stuck in the conflict. And also there's no nonverbal, right? You can't see their body language. And that would also make it harder to really feel someone and what their intentions are.
I love who you are.
Oh, there's that word.
Am I scaring you?
No, that doesn't scare me.
I think that there is a greater than likely chance that you and I could seriously walk out of here together.
Okay, it's interesting. I wonder where he's at mood-wise. He's still distant-ish, and I think he's trying to make up for it or something. I don't know. I feel like something got touched on in him when she talked about the infidelity. Something kind of, I don't know, something touched him. I just want to be. Okay, well, let's adjourn there. And everyone, please, really, take care of yourself and take care of others. Let's all take care of each other because we deserve it. We really do.